this video series, I chose not to reveal too much of the theory without the full justification for the theory, the full genesis of the theory, and the numerous examples of how to apply the theory that are best read in book form. This video comes closest to completing the heart of that theory without using the words that were used in the book. Instead, symbols are used. In the Figure 20 video, I said what I call the golden contrast from Richard J. Goldstein's model for creative professions was the inspiration for two of my elements. Hume's guillotine is the inspiration for the other two. For those not familiar, Hume's guillotine is known as the is-ought problem. This concept is similar, if not identical, to the fact-value distinction. In the last video, I explained how two of the elements can be thought of as verbs while the other two can be thought of as nouns or adjectives. Relative to the golden contrast, the nouns were used. But I neglected to mention that the ones used as verbs can also be thought of as nouns when treated as acts. Used in this way, the acts can be described by either of the two elements with different implications for each act. The combination of adjectives describing acts is the basic format of Hume's guillotine translated to my model, sort of. More accurately, one side of Hume's guillotine would actually translate to this shape. An expansion of my theory uses sub-elements, sometimes referred to as partial or potential elements, depending on position, which will be explained in a later video. Now let's do some ontological chemistry. In this modification of Figure 23, I'm using 4 elements of my theory in a quadrant. Before I get to the axes, I should explain the colors I used in the book. I didn't want to assign designated colors for elements. These colors and labels only allude to what the elements are related to. This is another ish because I used different labels in the book and only one per element. I also use numbers for each element in the book, but only for this figure. I most often use letters for each element, which I've excluded from the videos. Elements 1 and 2 in the top row of the quadrant were inspired by the golden contrast, but they were named more like domains. Elements 3 and 4 are inspired by Hume's guillotine, but are named more as acts. Elements 1 and 3 are related to energy and matter. Elements 2 and 4 are related to behavior. This is Figure 23a-ish of what's in the book. These domains and their columns are the subject of natural science and social science. But if we rearrange the domains, the columns don't match the domains of science as much. The rearranged columns are mostly, but not completely, representative of the labels identifying commonality in Figure 23b-ish. Elements 2 and 3 have persuasive and conceptual nature in common. Elements 1 and 4 have forceful and physical nature in common. We're reverting the elements to their sharper contrast and changing the domain row label to entities. This is to show how the elements are used to make compounds in Figure 25-ish. The core disciplines of my book are called compounds because they are composed of the elements. As mentioned in Figure 18, the art discipline is the base and the superset compound because it uses all 4 elements. The technology discipline uses 3 elements. The social science discipline uses 3 also, with only one difference. The similarities between social science and technology form the intersection shown in the compounds. The 2 elements they have in common match the compound of the natural science discipline. The gap in that intersection is explained later in the book. That sums up the modified versions of Figures 23 and 25. A sizable chunk of the book hinges on these 4 elements and how they describe disciplines and concepts. I recommend getting the book to dive much deeper into what other concepts, compositions, can be described by the elements. With the sub-elements, there's 512 possible combinations. The next video also visits most of the same disciplines, but defined by an alternative model for different purposes. I hope you're looking forward to it. Please leave critical and constructive feedback in the comments. Thanks for watching.